I don't think you need anything more than to see the smile on my face to understand what just happened. But not really, because I'm an American, and I am extraordinarily embarrassed that one of those two men is the present president of the United States. Well, this is Rudy Giuliani. This is a special edition of America's Mayor Live. And of course, with me for a few minutes is Dr. Maria, because I wanted to get her view of the debate. And then, of course, we'll go into detail. We're going to have Anthony Carbonetti, my former chief of staff. We're going to have,
we're having Bernie Carrick.
Bernie Carrick, the former police commissioner, and now working with President Trump very closely. And we're going to have Caitlin on, right?
Caitlin Sinclair.
Caitlin Sinclair, who has been covering, and Ted, and we'll get all their views, and then we'll have a little round robin. But Dr. Maria, we know you have to go home and do some things.
Yes.
And get ready for tomorrow and for your big show next Tuesday night. But I think I'm going to try to have you on tomorrow night to plug it again. All right?
Okay.
Okay. I'll Dr. Maria, tell us what you thought. And try to be articulate, unlike President Biden, so we can understand you.
Well, I had very low expectations for this debate. It was interesting to me in a couple of ways. One, Biden I thought in the beginning was over-rehearsed. And I thought, wow, they kept feeding him too much information. He's jumbling one subject with the next. But he ended up coming around to what he wanted to convey. It struck me how he makes things up, though. The made-up numbers, in the made-up, he's going to do this, and he's going to cut Social Security. Never, people could go by and go back and look at everything Trump has ever said about Social Security. Never once did he say he's going to get rid of it. But Biden has this habit of just diarrhea of the mouth with nothing behind it. Trump, I thought, did well. Of course, I wanted him to do better, and I'll tell you why. I am often shocked at how ill-informed Americans are about what's happening at that southern border. And if they watch only CNN or MSNBC, there you go. That's why. It's censored information. But the fact is, the fentanyl deaths have increased because the Biden administration has let the cartels run that border. Fentanyl's pouring in, as well as the terrorists are flooding in, as well as 80,000 children. That's not my number. That comes from the Biden administration, are missing, believed to be in sex trafficking rings. I wanted more, because President Trump has all this knowledge, more of him to say that stuff because of the masses who don't know that. But I guess that's not the role of this debate. Other than that, I thought President Trump was commanding. And the thing that touched my heart, because people often vote on emotion, is when he said, I could be out at one of my places. I could be on vacation right now. But this man did such a terrible job. And it's true. Don't we all feel it? Everybody around me, wherever I go, say we're a failing country. Can you believe our country? We look more like a Marxist country than we do a free country that has sovereign borders. And that touched my heart when he said that. And I think he means it in his soul, that, that's the reason he's got to run, because he wants to make this country great again. Remember, the man never took a salary as president of the United States. He is purely doing it because he loves our country.
Yeah, I must say, I have to ask you this, because I don't have a lot of time to explain what I thought. I thought the debate turned out to be devastating for a different reason, not for anything they said, but for the way Biden looked. I think Biden looked like a zombie.
Terrible. Yeah.
I think there were times in which he looked like some of the worst people I've seen in nursing homes or insane asylums. He had a totally vacant look on his face. He certainly didn't want that. It has to be involuntary. Nobody would want to go on a presidential debate and look like a zombie.
Yeah.
And he held that. I would count sometimes for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 50 seconds. And it didn't happen once. It happened at least 10, 12 times. He's clearly out of it. He doesn't know where he is sometimes. He doesn't know who he is. And about a third of his answers made no sense.
Right.
About a third of his answers, you could not logically follow what he was trying to say. 3 different subjects would get mixed in, which you should know is about as clear a symptom of dementia as you can get. But the guy can't stick on a particular subject. And on the other hand, whether Trump got every fact in or no facts in, he was articulate, he was smart. He could have been 40 years old as far as his mental agility is concerned. All of the fears that he was going to be name calling and interrupting, didn't interrupt once. The other guy was name calling.
Yeah, who did the name calling?
I mean, he was a perfect gentleman. So if you were to say who acted like a president, there's no doubt one was the president, and the other guy is ready for he's ready for the nursing home or the insane asylum.
Well, your audience and you have heard me say I look at Joe Biden in 2 steps. One is the chronic liar, pathological liar, the plagiarist. You know, we've been watching clips from back in the 80s when he ran for president, all the lies he told. He was caught. People thought he was done. Sam Donaldson said this guy is going nowhere because he's a habitual liar. Then we get the corruption in there. So I take that all in one, the liar, the plagiarist, and the corrupt guy. But then there's a guy I have empathy for because he does have dementia. He is incompetent to do the role of a president.
I don't think that maybe that's
one more comment.
Justice for all the people that he's had killed.
I have one more comment, though. Besides his odd look, what makes it worse is all the plastic surgery and the Botox and the fillers that they're giving him. You know, we often say, wow, these beautiful women are now look like freaks because they don't know when enough is enough with the plastic.
But why didn't drugs work tonight? No, seriously. That isn't the way he was during the State of the Union. That isn't the way he was during the last debate.
It's an ebb and flow.
But this guy looked bad tonight.
Yeah.
If this was one of the bad appearances of Joe Biden, we had expected we'd have the fixed up, drugged up Joe Biden of the State of the Union. Instead, he got whiter as I don't know what happened to his makeup, but he looked like he was going to faint by the end. He looked like Alistair Sims playing Scrooge at the end.
When he does go to the White House, he only goes for 2 or 3 hours and they put a lid on his schedule. But I know you got guests coming up.
Yeah, he's lucky it was an hour and a half.
And it was fun with all your guests here. Everybody. Oh, by the way, remember when Biden came out and he waved? We all know there's
nobody to wave at.
There.
But he didn't know that. And a couple of times, very gently, almost Reagan-like.
Okay, we're going. Okay.
Almost Reagan-like, Trump got in. Well, he really doesn't understand that. Well, he'll really not understand.
I did like
it. He did it nicely, though. He didn't do it like.
Okay, we got a break.
I was surprised he didn't call him names. I would have. So we'll be right back with our special guest.
First of many.
First of many. Okay. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee. Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. And we're about to talk to Tony Carbonetti, who was chief of staff to a mayor of New York and is now a very, very successful businessman in New York and a person who follows politics more than anybody I know and probably is one of the most knowledgeable.
Have a great time.
I haven't talked to him at all. about this, and I want to see what he thinks. Anthony, how are you?
Mr. Mayor, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Hey, gee, just fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Actually, I went into this. I think this was a big mistake for President Trump. I thought it was a mistake when he said yes, and tonight proved my
Yeah, me
point.
too.
He just gave him a mulligan. I don't think there's a chance in hell that Joe Biden is now the Democratic nominee after what you just saw. I think he
I
let
thought
them.
so too. Why? Why do you think? What was the biggest thing? I have an idea of it. What do you think?
What was the biggest thing tonight? Joe lived down
Yeah.
to every expectation you had. Who's going to vote for a guy they can't envision being around in 4 years? Come September and October, when you're supposed to be out there on the campaign trail talking about a future for America, that guy can't do that. Look at him. So how's he going to get people to vote for him? If I was Trump, I would have said, I'll debate you when you're the nominee. Because today, Joe Biden's not the nominee. He just gave the
I
Democratic
think that's
Party a
possible.
mulligan.
I thought in a way, the way he looked was even
Terrible.
worse than the way he sounded, and he got worse going along. I mean,
Mayor,
you're used to looking.
you used to say this when I worked for you and you were giving speeches. You would say, no matter how bad things are, you have to get on that stage and have a positive attitude, because who's going to follow a guy that gets up there and says, things are really bad, we have no hope, there's no future?
Right.
You look at him and you have that feeling.
Yeah. There was a young lady who wrote an article in the Post today, I think Ricky Schlott, and she said, for young people, it's all a matter of who looks better. Who looks like the future.
Look at what I said in September and October when you're on the campaign trail. Who looks at this guy and says, 4 years from now, we're going to be in better shape?
Yeah, and he had a week to get like that.
This took a week. It took a week so he'd have that blank look on his face. It's really sad. What you just
so I got to
witnessed
get
is very sad.
As long as I got to get you on New York politics, which you are, backwards and forward. How do you see the Bowman defeat? Does it mean that New York is moving a little more to the center?
I wish it did. I wish we also didn't have to waste, $50 million to knock out a squad member. I wish it was AOC. They should go after her next.
Is she defeatable?
She in a primary, she really is, because think about it, 7,000 or 8,000 votes. It's not a big number.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she really went a little wacky near the end there with that performance.
Right. She cannot lose in a general. It's too big of an election. In a primary, someone can take her down. But it's like the city council is way too progressive right now. They sit around and debate, taking down a Jefferson statue or a Washington painting, but not the $8 billion budget deficit that we're going to face.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
And Adams
City's in trouble.
And the Adams investigation, which I thought was maybe Biden sort of zapping him, looks like it might be real.
Yeah.
The whole thing with getting money from Red China, and
you would know the investigation part better than I would. But I don't think the FBI is poking around for $13,000 in campaign finance. Illegal.
Yeah, I thought he is a Democrat, and but I thought they were doing like the stuff they do to us. I thought Trump did a good job laying out how, if I hadn't run, I wouldn't be indicted.
Well, actually, the things that they got Trump for, they would not have done to anyone else.
I think that's true.
Especially the Attorney General case, where the bank said, he paid back the loans. We hired a third party that actually gave us an assessed value. Because let me tell you something. Every real estate guy, when they go to the bank, their building's worth $3 billion. They all say that. They want to get money from the bank. So they all say my building's the best, greatest, most, the most expensive building in the whole. And the bank hires a third party that gives them a number. That's how it works.
You know, when Anger Moron put the number down, it was 18 million for Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, I'll buy
The
it
very
right
next
now.
day, Ted and I went out the very next day playing comparable values, and we found one for about 50 million that looks like it should be in it should be in Harlem before we fixed it up, but it happens to be on Palm Beach.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And by the
ridiculous.
The
way-
president got a kick out of that.
It was victimless, right? There was no victim in that.
Right.
Everyone got paid back.
I mean, Mar-a-Lago could be worth actually anything anybody would pay for it. It's one of those
That's an
unique
asset. Yes. That's a unique asset.
properties. You know, some sheik or whatever the hell come
It's
along and
worth
say, "I'll give you
whatever
$3
wanna
billion."
Pay for it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Tony, like to have you on more. You
I'm
were
happy
one of the
to do
most
it, Mayor.
knowledgeable guys, and during this campaign, your observations are excellent.
I
Excellent.
think you just witnessed the last debate of Joe Biden.
Really, very interesting.
I
Well,
think
we're going to
it's all
see.
over.
We're going to see.
I think when they get to the convention, it's going to be a celebration of Joe's
Now,
service, and they'll ease him out.
You can corroborate something nobody believes.
Yes,
Isn't it true that one of Joe Biden's relatives worked for us in our administration?
1,000%. She was a great employee, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that.
She was
I
a
know
great
that. She was
employee.
no. We're not even going to mention a name or anything, but I mean, she was a relative of his, a close relative,
Yeah,
and she did a damn good job.
damn good job. Great person.
See, you never blame the one relative, another relative. What the hell,
she's
right?
very
Well,
good.
Mayor,
We know that.
Mayor, I want to have Tony back on. I want to ask a lot of questions about the good old days. I
Yeah,
want to hear
never,
about
never. Tony knows what happens in City Hall stays in City Hall.
Exactly.
We're doing our special with Tony.
But I tell you what, we look pretty good now, don't we?
Yes, you look great, Mayor. Everyone wants you back.
It's a shame to look that good in that way, but okay. See you soon,
right.
Tone.
Go get him.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't know what it means to have a guy like that as your chief of staff. You want to know why? I used to say my success, I used to say it after September 11, I'm going to get a chance to really show you in a minute, that I stood on the shoulders of giants. True. You're going to see one of the giants in a few minutes if he's next up, or Caitlin, I'm not sure. But Tony is one of them too. All during September 11, I don't think he wasn't. If Bernie was on this shoulder, Tony was on that shoulder. No matter where I went. One time we rushed up to NBC when we were told there was anthrax there, and Tony says, "You rush to fires, you rush to buildings coming down, and you rush to anthrax. What do you want to get us killed?" And then it turned out that there was anthrax in Tony's office. Yep. You got quite a guy there. And interesting observation, because I was thinking, and I actually texted out before Tony said that, you can go check X. The Democrats may remove him. And I was focusing on the way he looked, Ted. If I were a Democrat, and I'm thinking, can he make it to the finish line? Meaning to the election. I look at that face, which he had no control over. He looked like, and I don't care what Joe Scarborough or any of these idiots said, he looked like the people I would see in Bellevue.
Yeah.
And various combinations of that.
Yeah.
And that's involuntary. And he had a week to prepare not to look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know how these preparations go, all different types. You know, the ones where they rehearse you, and the ones where they don't.
Yeah.
Well, the minute I'm just thinking of a debate preparation with Roger Ailes, and you ask me a question. You're one of the questioners. I'm looking like this. He said, "Get that stupid expression off your face, Giuliani. Jesus, you look like a zombie." Now, either it didn't happen during preparation, or it did, and whatever, let's put it this way, whatever medicines we were talking about before,
Yeah.
Didn't seem to work this time, at least with regard to the appearance. Also in the delivery, there were at least 4 or 5 big word salads that you couldn't figure out what came in the front end and what came in the back end. And I think by tomorrow we'll be able to unravel all of, I got them all written down here, where he, I actually have to listen to it again to try to figure out what the hell he said. On the other hand, I was extremely happy that Trump never took the bait. He never did any name calling. He did it the right way, actually. He did it the Reagan way. He said, he said, you've been the worst president. You've been this, you've been that, but he didn't call him names. He didn't call him a criminal. He did call him a criminal once, but that was after he called him a criminal. And it's true. The biggest criminal on that stage, biggest criminal in Washington is the president. So,
So we've got another great
where
guest.
to go? Go ahead.
Well, I'll let you. We got another great guest, and she's a good friend of the show. But more importantly, well, maybe not more importantly, but also of note, she is now a spokeswoman for Turning Point, the great Caitlin Sinclair.
Is Caitlin Sinclair? There she is.
There's Caitlin.
There she is. I got to put my. So, Caitlin, where do we find you?
You find me in Phoenix, Arizona, Mayor. With the
All
Turning
right,
Point team tonight.
working with Turning Point.
That's right.
Great organization, and when we win this November, they're going to be a big part of it.
Oh, for sure. We're doing such great work here, grassroots stuff. Mayor, I was in Wisconsin with the team just over a week ago. We are hiring boots on the ground activists. So for all of your viewers here tonight, we are hiring full-time in Wisconsin, in Arizona. Again, boots on the ground activists, encouraging folks to get out the vote, right? We can talk about debate. We can talk about election interference all we want. We can look at these rallies, huge numbers, but we do not win elections unless we get that piece of paper in the ballot box. So we need everyone involved, and you can download our app, which is just TP Action, and see how you can get involved easily.
So I give Turning Point every time I can the credit for a lot of these polls that are coming out now that are shocking people, that we are, in some cases, Trump is winning with Gen Zers. In all cases, he's competitive.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
in the margin of error or ahead.
Yeah, and I'm Mayor.
Who would ever thought that?
Right. I used to refer to this group, the group I belong to, as the most apathetic group, right? You saw that for some time, but I don't find that anymore. I don't think the millennials or the Gen Zers are apathetic anymore. I think they're actually fed up. I think they realize they've been lied to. I think they realize they've been robbed. And I think they want to do something about it. So that's why you're seeing, for example, our organization, Turning Point, drawing out these huge number of young people, and they're fired up and they're passionate and they are longing for some America First policies once again.
So what did you think tonight? First, I mean, it's obviously you have to study it and go over it, as I will, but what your first view on it? You've been through a lot of these and you're an excellent reporter, and just give me your first view of it.
My initial view, as conservative and as excited to hopefully reelect President Trump once again as I am, and MAGA as I am, I took no pleasure in watching our current commander-in-chief stumble this much and embarrass himself this much. I mean, I'm sure your phone as well. My phone did not stop buzzing the entire debate with people genuinely concerned. So again, as excited as I am to reelect President Trump and how much I support the movement, as strong as I believe and what we're doing on the conservative end of things, I took no pleasure in watching that. That was really tough to watch. And I think most American people picked up on that.
So I had on right before you my former chief of staff, Tony Carbonetti, who has a pretty balanced view on this. He's not he used to be a Democrat, and he's a pretty moderate in his political opinion. He thinks Biden is gone.
Well,
he doesn't think
Mayor,
Democrats will stick with him.
Look at
he doesn't think he thinks. He thinks that those. Yeah.
We have Van Jones
I mean
saying that we need to find another candidate. Van Jones actually went on air and said that Biden bombed this. So when we're hearing from the mainstream media and the leftist media that Joe Biden bombed this, I think that should tell us something.
Yeah, I don't know how you can spin this. I'll tell you what killed him more than the words and a lot of word salads but the expressions on his face.
Yeah, his
they were
appearance.
Frightening.
Yeah,
you see that I'm sorry, you see it in an insane asylum. Right.
If you look on social media, and like you said, it's going to take us a few hours to debrief and study and go through some clips again, but a lot of Americans were tweeting out saying that more than his fumbles and his stumbles and his gaffes, his overall appearance was actually most concerning.
Yeah, I mean, how can somebody? I mean, we want to deter Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un, the Ayatollah. They look at that guy. It looks like he should be in an insane asylum.
That's not a man we're going to fear on the world stage, right? And I think Donald Trump.
But I wonder if they can do that. How do you replace him at this point? Well, who do you replace him with?
The Biden camp is already coming out saying that what we saw tonight was just Joe Biden suffering from a little cold. I didn't know the symptoms of a cold had to do with dementia. I don't know. I'm no medical expert. I'll have to fact check myself there, but I don't.
That was a cold?
That's the initial statement I just got before I joined you, Mayor.
Jeez, what happens if he gets a fever?
I don't think anyone's falling for that, right? I don't think anyone's falling for that. You're seeing on CNN already, John King, Dana Bash, they're already talking about the political strategists and operatives are getting behind closed doors right now, talking about who the candidate should be. There's a hashtag on Twitter. I think Andrew Yang started it saying replace Joe. Andrew Yang, the minute the debate started, said that we should end this now.
Yeah.
There's always been something here that they didn't give enough appreciation to, and that is they think they're in control of everything because they can cheat.
Right.
But you're not in control of dementia. And dementia controls you. You don't control dementia.
Right. And then on top of that,
no matter how, and there's a point at which no matter how much medicine you give him, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and look, this is Joe Biden at his best, right? We could argue this was Joe Biden's best
week.
He had a week to prepare. He had 20 political strategists surrounding him, Mayor, telling him what to say, how to say it, when to pause, when to sit down, how to walk off the stage, how to appear, and he still bombed this bad. So Donald Trump has been doing this, right? He has been spending his time talking to the American people, continuing out on the campaign trail, talking to the American people about how much they're hurting and feeling their pain. And so all of these talking points really come so naturally to him. And I really think that was echoed tonight on that stage.
Yeah. And also the discipline. Is he going to interrupt? Is he going to name call? Almost not at all.
We saw.
Is he going to stay on the point? Is he going to stay on the point and the issues? Constantly went back to the issues. He never took the bait. And the reality is, if that's what he had to do, he couldn't have done it better.
Yeah, I think he came very prepared with facts and continued to go back to policy, right? And when we be following this news cycle, as you and I have so closely over the past few months, you have the mainstream media and Joe Biden's camp that's tried to point the finger at these 34 felonies and convicted felon. But your average American cannot keep up with Donald Trump's legal woes. They are paying $100 at the gas tank. They're paying $400 a week to feed their family, and they're broke doing it. And so they cannot sit there and care about Donald Trump's 34 felonies. So Donald Trump showing up tonight and focusing on policies, focusing on how we're going to save America, I think strategy.
Not much on relitigating the 2020 election. He handled January 6th quickly and nicely. All the stuff they thought he was going to get bogged down in, he didn't.
And I have to say, I think CNN actually handled themselves well tonight, and I'm curious to see how.
Only time I got annoyed, I did an analysis of the top issues. Of course, the economy is one, crime and immigration is second, and they went right to abortion as number two. But Trump handled abortion better than I've ever seen a Republican handle it. He moved it around to the extremes, which is what we should do. They want to kill a 9-month-old, an 8-month-old, a 7-month-old, which is a baby. And he never answered, and they want to kill him out of the womb, too.
I think this was one of Donald Trump's best performances.
Yeah.
I don't think we've seen him this polished and calm. And I think the demeanor he delivered tonight is going to help those voters.
So
that are
how
maybe
did
teetering
how
right
did
now.
Turning Point get you? You are terrific, and they are terrific. Charlie has done more for us with young people and campuses. I remember Charlie going to campuses 4 and 5 years ago, pointing out what we now know.
Yeah,
He's way ahead on that. I remember him going there. I used to have so much admiration for him, all by himself,
that's
and
right.
taking them all on.
I really, Mayor, am so passionate about affecting these younger generations. Again, it's the group I belong
Yeah,
to.
boy.
And you look at what's happening. When was the last time, Mayor, an entire generation felt like they could not afford to buy a home? When was the last time an entire generation felt like they were so disenfranchised and didn't have a voice and couldn't even start a family? When was the last time an entire generation was coming out with more college degrees on paper, but zero life skills and zero coping mechanisms? So we have a lot of
you
work
guys.
to do. But this is the place.
Yeah, but you've already had a big impact. You really have, and we're going to see it in this election. Ted?
Well, Caitlin's the best. We know that. We love having her on, and we just hope that we can keep having her on here.
That's a deadly combination, her and Charlie, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
So anytime we can be helpful, you let me know. I'm legitimately a big supporter of Turning Point, and now with you there, even bigger.
Absolutely. I will get with the team right after this and
All right. You let me know how
discuss.
Ted and I can help, all right?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Always a
Caitlin.
pleasure.
Thank you,
God bless
Caitlin.
you.
You know we love you.
See you soon.
Love you right back.
She is the best. She is the best. And boy, I'm not kidding. That's a hell of a combination. A real jolt at the right time for an organization that I think you all know. What I was going to say is kind of quiet. It really isn't that quiet. But when it doesn't get the credit it deserves, because I've seen I'm listening to myself here. I've been watching all these polls with Gen Zers and young people, and how what a lot of people think that the Democrats control them isn't true. Particularly with Trump. Trump is having a big impact, and the younger they are, the better he's doing, which is another strange thing. And I think this debate tonight will go a long way, because although obviously Trump is a lot older than them, of the two guys, I mean, one of them looks relatively young, and the other one looks like he's 90, not 80, whatever the hell he is. I mean, in the last part of the debate, and I'm going to have this ready for tomorrow, he looks like Alastair Sims in Scrooge. His face is all white. I almost thought somebody should come and get him and take him off the stage. I don't know how they spin their way around this one. A cold? I mean, my goodness. I mean, I've had lots of colds. I don't remember. Ted, I've had a few colds, right? You've had a few colds.
Yeah.
You remember going zombie when you had a cold?
Well, I'm trying to read. So one thing we haven't seen is and I'm listening to myself too. I'm trying to read what some of this post-debate coverage is, and we'll see some of it here once we sign off. But Mayor, is it possible? And I think you may have, you and Tony, I think, alluded to this fact. Is it possible that this was done to give the Democrat Party the opening they needed to replace Biden?
I don't think they. Yes, but I think it was ABC. I think it was done for several reasons. Okay. I don't think they knew.
They didn't know for sure. Okay.
No, I think they did it now because if he had a good performance, he could rejuvenate his campaign.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
If he had a bad performance, they had time to replace him.
Yeah.
Maybe two possibilities. An average performance, maybe they'd hang on. What killed him, though, and you can't argue with, you can argue with answers. Not really. We can take a couple of those answers and show they contradicted each other. They were completely the answers of a demented man. But nobody can argue with what his face looked like. And obviously he's not in control of it. He's not in control of what he looks like. because you wouldn't look like that if you were in control of it. During a debate in which you're trying to be president of the United States, you wouldn't have your mouth open, right? During the endless preparation for the debate, he would have controlled that. And I'm sorry, a cold doesn't have you looking like that. There were times he was looking away. He seemed to have notes. Now, I think they could make notes. While they couldn't bring notes in with them, but they could, and this was true of most of the debates I was in, because sometimes when I would go out for a debate, you couldn't take notes with you, but you could make notes. So I would very often, while we were waiting for the debate to start, I would put down the 2 or 3 points that I thought were the most important that I had to make, so that by the time we got to the end of the debate, I could do a little check off and make sure I made those points. Now, it was a different kind of debate. It was a debate with 8 people, 7 people, 3 people, 5 people. So you never were sure you could get your points in. So you wanted to make sure, if I wanted to talk about the Iraq War, I would get a chance to. If I wanted to talk about taxes, I want to talk about immigration. But it looked to me like he had more substantial notes than that. And Ted, I never saw him make notes.
No.
But he was reading something.
That's what I thought they weren't supposed to.
Well, they weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
The point that I'm making is they could say he made those notes during the debate, but I never saw him writing during the debate.
To be fair, one time, but I saw him go like this. I did see him.
Or making little drawings.
I saw him pick up the pen for a second.
Yeah, he probably made a little drawing of some kind, rather like you're making kindergarten.
Crazy.
I thought Trump handled his imbecility really well by basically saying things, well, he wouldn't understand that, but he did it gently, not like you would expect Trump, 4 years ago or 8 years ago to do it and saying, well, you really are a total moron. Joe, you want to wake up? What is that on your face? What, Joe, you okay? You want to take a little break? That's the Trump that we remember from the 16 debates against some Republican during, when he debated if one of the Republicans had ever looked like that during a debate, what do you think Trump would have done? He would want to take a little time out and, you want to go see somebody or get a drug or something? How about closing your mouth, Joe? Can you do it? Can you close your mouth? Well, Ted?
Yeah.
We'll sign off in a little bit so we can listen to we can listen to all the pundits and just see how they're going to spin their way out of this. Whoa! Or maybe they're going to spin their way out of this by telling us Newsom's the candidate.
Yes.
By tomorrow morning, we have a new candidate. You never know about Democrats. They'll turn on him so fast.
Yeah.
And, he's going to have to listen because they got so much on him.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh.
If they wanted to let the Republicans go,
yeah.
If the Democrats wanted to let the Republicans go, this guy could be in jail for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
So as we know, I'm going to tell you this. The evidence, there's a certain thing about presumption of innocence and gone the minute you look at the hard drive. It's gone the minute you look at the hard drive. There's so much evidence. There's so much evidence that a trained monkey could convict him. Wow. And can you imagine the rest of the world watching this? Watching the American president looking like somebody from an insane asylum? Whew. On the other hand, they're actually going to see a very different person than the media presents in Donald Trump, aren't they? They're not going to see some wild, crazy. They're going to see a very intelligent businessman, very intelligent president, handling himself calmly. What do you think, Ted? Give me your views. I've been talking a lot, and everybody else, but we haven't let Ted talk. Everybody likes to.
Now we got our.
Everybody likes to hear from. We got the other camera for you here.
I do. I have it kind of set up, but we've been doing so much else. We'll spare everyone until tomorrow. My face.
Please.
Mayor, I thought it went as you said, exceedingly well for President Trump. Biden looked lost. We'll see how they spin it. To play devil's advocate a little bit, maybe they can find a way to, like you said, let's play devil's advocate, right? As a lawyer, you probably had to do this all the time. What you had to know their arguments, right? So you were ready to defend them.
I would argue for them.
Yeah. Let's do that a little bit. So
I'd ignore the facial. I'd say, oh, people look on. People look. You can interpret that any way you want.
Sure.
He answered He answered all the basic questions. He pointed out Trump's inadequacies. He did a good job of pointing out the economic benefits that he brought to the country. Not much more. I mean, he never really defended what he did in Afghanistan. Never defended what he's been doing with China. Never gave us an ending for the Ukraine war.
Mayor
never told us how he's going to finish the war in the Middle East. I don't know. I'd have a hard time.
Yeah, but Mayor,
maybe I'd be in the category of we need another candidate.
Yeah. Was that even a real debate? The way they had the rules set up, they weren't even really debating each other. It was almost like two separate conversations between the moderators and the candidates.
Well, I think they did it that way so it wouldn't become like that first debate where it was like a free for all, right?
Yeah,
but I mean, you got
a rule
in a way. Each candidate got a chance to kill themselves or not.
Yeah.
I mean, they got a chance to answer the question without the other one interrupting them.
Sure.
And I think it buried Biden and elected Trump. I mean, Trump made no basic mistake. They're gonna argue with the truth or falsity of a lot of what they said, I guess. But there's no basic, I remember Ronald Reagan coming off a debate once. I think it was the first one, either the first one with Jimmy Carter or the one in which Jimmy Carter didn't appear. And the first thing he said to Nancy, of course, Reagan, probably the greatest debater we ever had, said, "Did I make any mistake?" And Nancy said, "No, Ronnie." And I'll tell you, you don't realize it, but that's your biggest concern. Your biggest concern is leaving behind the thing that can kill you. The one, like the looking at the watch by Bush or something like that can be spun like that. And that's where Biden is dead. I mean, if I want to replay that debate, I'd almost replay it and say, let's just look at the facial expressions. Is that man sane? And I think the thing you come away with is, put him somewhere. Certainly not in the White House. I don't think you can argue your way out of the way he looked.
And Mayor, based off what we're hearing, we haven't seen the post-debate coverage on the state-run media. However, if it's true that they're coming out with all this anti-Biden stuff, was this all a setup from the start?
Well, I think it
against him.
If they are in fact immediately talking about replacement, then they had a football play called,
like one of two.
Yeah, I don't think it was definitely we're taking him out.
Yeah,
I think if he did a credible job, it was let's spin it and defend him.
Yeah.
If he did a bad job, it was let's immediately go for
the jugular.
Yeah. Now, I do think that Trump.
Let's see what the networks are carrying.
If Trump lost, I think he was naming a vice president tonight or tomorrow.
You're right.
And I sure hope he doesn't, because this one, let's give him a weekend to try to spin this one around, because you can't do it. I've been wrong before, but I think if they try to spin it that Biden did well, that's going to be the worst thing they could do, because nobody's going to buy it.
So maybe
how many people watch this debate for the communist media? In Russia, they would never let this many people watch a debate like that. We'll have to find out the number, but I'd be surprised if it wasn't 100 million people.
Yeah, I agree.
That's and probably a disproportionate number of people that are going to vote.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So if you figure that we get about a 60% turnout,
Yeah.
I bet of the 100 million that watched it, you probably got an 80% turnout.
Yeah.
You got about somewhere between 80 and 120 million voters who watch this. Well, we'll see what the final numbers are.
Yeah.
So we'll be back tomorrow at 8. This is a good time. We might try to come on tomorrow at 7 in order to get ready for Monday, because we really do want to explain to you, because there's a little change here, the new programming, which is we'll be on 7 to 8 on Frank's, which you can get, and probably get it now, by just getting the app. So how do they get the app, Ted?
Anywhere they get apps right now, they can go wherever they go.
So right now,
Google users.
Let's say you're watching us on X right now or on YouTube, either one.
Yeah.
You can just go on your phone or on your laptop or on your iPad or tablet, go to your app store and get Frank
Speech app.
Frank Speak app.
Yep.
You get it right now, and then you'll be ready on Monday at 7 o'clock to hear the Rudy Giuliani show.
Yeah.
And that will be followed by this show, America's Mayor Live, which will be on where you are right now. And we'll be able to cover, the things that, there's a lot to go here and a lot of surprises we may be encountering. But we still have a country that's been made in large part into a dictatorial fascist country by this nitwit that you saw on television tonight. And we don't, we're in the second inning here. And maybe we're going to feel, hopefully, not overconfident as a result of this, because there's a long way to go. And we've been dealing with these people for a long time, and they're ruthless. They got other plans. I don't know. See if they can put more people in prison. If things don't go right, they're going to take out one of our primary people on Monday. My close friend and your close friend, Steve Bannon. They're going to try to take him out for the campaign. They're not putting him in jail for contempt of Congress. My God. I mean, they should put the Attorney General in jail then for contempt of Congress. He won't turn over the Hur tapes. Now you can see why he won't turn over the Hur tapes. Can you imagine what he was like when Hur concluded that he's not sane enough to stand trial? Can you imagine the way he acted on those tapes? They actually admit that they falsified the transcripts. I mean, if he had a credible performance during that 2-day deposition, of course they'd play it for you. I mean, if it's anything like this, it's another disaster, proving that our country is in the hands of an imbecile. I thought Trump's statement, I'd almost rather not be doing this. It's true. I know him. I know the debate that he went through to do this. I even think if there was someone that had come along that he thought, had as good a chance to win as he did, given the loyalty that he has from so many people, he'd have supported that person. But and honestly, there wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, there were good candidates, but they didn't have the built-up loyalty that he has, and which you can see is there, because as he gets attacked, it gets greater and greater. And the Democrats have never really understood that, because they demean us. We're the deplorables. We're stupid. We're not as educated as they are. It just turns out we're a hell of a lot smarter. I mean, we really are. You are. You don't know how much. I mean, I know both of you coming from New York and growing up in New York. You've always been smarter. They're too arrogant to be smart. You can go back to the Greek philosophers. If you don't know that you don't know everything, you're never going to learn. You're going to have some kind of a false picture of knowledge. And they are, you want a good old-fashioned expression for what the New York Times and they're know-it-alls. And then they're also very much affected by Marxism. We can't ignore that. And they fit right into the Marxist script. And the biggest enemy of that is a guy who tells it like it is. And you saw him tonight. So, very, very pleased for my country with tonight's performance. They're going to find something or some way, but I don't think it's going to work. I feel a lot of strength emerging from this about things that you needed an answer to, and you got them if you're fair-minded. So let's get together tomorrow at 7, and then we'll call that the Rudy Giuliani Show, and then we'll have America's Mayor Live, and then on Monday you'll be ready with Frank's Speak to watch us, and then on X, and then on Frank Speaks on Tuesday, you'll be treated to Dr. Maria and her show, and it's going to be somewhat different. She has a different perspective on certain things, and it's good. And of course, she'll continue to be a guest and very much involved in producing with Ted and I our show. And we really appreciate that because she brings a perspective, and Ted does, that kind of makes the show, I think, very interesting for all of you. And and because we'll have the extra hour, like we had tonight, with a wonderful interview with Bruce, and then eventually with Caitlin and Tony, we'll have a lot of very interesting people that maybe you don't get to see elsewhere.
Yeah.
You get kind of tired of seeing the same people all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you put on I love them, but like we'll have some of the same people.
Yeah.
But we're going to bring in some new people.
That's right. Oh yeah, we were just seeing the beginning. Now that we can do these interviews, these live interviews,
people, we got a hell of a bench, I'll tell you. So thank you very much for watching. Congratulations, President Trump. I've been in presidential debates. I know how tense they are. I got to speak to him right when he got off the plane in Georgia, a couple hours before the debate. I knew for sure then that he was going to give that kind of performance. I didn't know that Biden would deconstruct quite as much as he did. I thought a week and all the medicines would hold Humpty Dumpty together better. But obviously, it's gone further than anybody can control. And if he were an honest man and a decent man, and not a man that's been responsible for so much death, I would feel sorry for him. But I consider all the expressions of feeling sorry for him very phony. You just can't feel sorry for someone that's killed as many people as he has, or treats his grandchild the way he does, or really created this life of crime for his son, who as an addicted personality should have been exempted from being in his brothers and his criminal conspiracy. The mafia guys used to do that for their sons. This son of a didn't. So you're not going to get any sympathy out of me for his condition. A lot of people deserve sympathy, and you have only so much, and it doesn't extend to people who do the kind of harm this man has done, or do the kind of harm to his country that he's done. It's despicable. Well, we always ask you to pray for the people of Israel. We didn't talk very much about them tonight, but I'm sure they were very happy with tonight's debate. There's no country that loves Trump more than Israel. I know that from being there. He probably has more supporters there than America. And probably there's no country that hates Biden more than Israel, the way he stabbed him in the back. So pray for the people of Israel. Pray to give the people of America wisdom, which we've always had at the right time. And of course, that beautiful flag behind me. Many people comment on it. Thank you, Ted, for finding it. Nothing greater than that flag. And anybody that wants to put their hands on it, you better not be near me. God bless America. Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply